Item hash SCP-830 Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. The location of SCP-830 designated site is to be barred from access to the public. At no time are non-Foundation personnel permitted on site without the express orders of Level 3 personnel or higher. No personnel are to come into physical contact with SCP-830 at any time. To heighten site morale, anyone communicating with SCP-830 is to have a safety line and a designated marksman on hand to terminate the communicator in case of incident. No further constructions directly above or around SCP-830 are to be attempted. After the collapse of a catwalk incident, 830-13B resulted in the loss of 16 site personnel, including one Level 3 during the facility. Description: SCP-830 is a shifting pool that initially appears to be composed of oil and sand. Attempts to recover samples from the pool have revealed only inert samples standard to the Earth in that area. Researchers hypothesize that an item at the bottom of this pool may be responsible for this and the other effects of SCP-830. Any humans coming into physical contact with SCP-830 are drawn into the pool itself, and presumably killed. The retracting powers of the liquid are remarkably strong, although with a sufficiently strong subject. Severing the point of contact with the liquid of SCP-830 is sufficient to prevent the entire individual from being drawn in. Inanimate objects do not appear to be affected by this quicksand effect. Individuals drawn into SCP-830 may be contacted by standing within 8 meters of the pool for the safety of designated communicators. Closer than 6 meters is not recommended. Distorted but recognizable faces of those consumed by SCP-830 will form upon the surface, one by one. The communicator may designate which one they wish to address by speaking only when the desired face forms on the surface. This may take some time, as it is estimated that SCP-830 has consumed in excess of 800 individuals in the span of its existence. Communicators should be trained extensively in human psychology and interrogative techniques. Chief characteristics of the faces of SCP-830 include remorse or regret for the actions directly leading to their consumption by SCP-830, and complaints of excruciating pain. It is extremely difficult to change the subject when communicating with the face of SCP-830. Non-Foundation personnel within SCP-830 are predominantly occultists of the traditions, apparently eliminated by the Chaos Insurgency from the years of 19 to 19, before SCP-830 was seized by Foundation personnel in 19. Translators are on site for any volunteers wishing to communicate with these faces. Although prolonged exposure to SCP-830 has severely diminished their communicative ability, most faces from this period are incoherent or disjointed in their speech patterns. Over 50% are suffering from various forms of aphasia. Information collected on the traditions has been catalogued and is available for study upon request to Dr. Jonas DeWitt, Head of Research for SCP-830. SCP-842-1 must remain conscious through the entire process to maintain real-time updates. Anesthesia or lobotomies drastically affect image fidelity and are not recommended. Medical personnel preparing Class D subjects for use are to remove the subject's larynx unless specific requests to the contrary are made. SCP-842-1 tends to survive generally between 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the subject's physical health. the complexity of the rendition, the frequency of real-time updates that are required by the viewing, and the number of times changes of viewpoint which would require a large-scale construction of a different view are required. Upon expiration of the subject, real-time updates of the viewing area cease and the subject at this point can be removed from the table. Autopsies conducted on the corpses recovered after use demonstrate massive internal and external injuries. Organs are compacted, moved, or data expunged completely. Musculature and bone are warped to a degree to make them unrecognizable as any bodily structure. It is unknown how SCP-842-1 survives the continuous changes inflicted on its body or fails to go into immediate shock. Users should note that SCP-842 does have limitations. It is impossible to view areas underneath 15 feet of solid mass. Additionally, the wider the area viewed, the more SCP-842 relies on the controller's own knowledge or expectation of information regarding the area rather than SCP-842's seemingly omnipresent abilities. At short-range viewing generally within the 10m×10m area, the rendition will be nearly 100% accurate. At intermediate range, around the 200m×200m distance, tokens only represent the general area within 10m, which the object could be located. Long ranges of greater than 200m are strictly limited to terrain and the controller's personal knowledge and/or expectation. Finally, areas of high psychic activity or other interference can render information gained by SCP-842 highly unreliable. SCP-842 is not to be used for fishing expeditions unless the controller knows specifically which location is desired or what information is sought. Class D personnel are consumed at an unacceptable rate. Recovery log. SCP-842 was recovered in the raid on an ad hoc Chaos Insurgency facility located in the Ural Mountains on // Foundation agents had received a tip that the insurgency was transporting several SCP objects and had temporarily established a base camp in the abandoned town of Foundation. Casualties numbered over agents and Class D personnel. The unusually high casualties that were sustained were attributed to the Chaos Insurgency commanders using SCP-842 to organize their defense. Only due to Agent Data Expunge's quick thinking and uncommon valor was data expunged, and the object brought into containment.